Hey, thanks for joining us once again. I'm Joe Cortez, joined by James Burns of FrontRowPreps.com, powered by Chicken Ranch Casino in historic Jamestown. Time now for our large and small school rankings. Once again, we're going to do this in just one segment. These rankings brought to you by Valley Orthopaedic, the bone and joint specialists. Burnsy, let's start with the small school rankings. Number 10, Houston. They've got Riverbank this week.
Yeah, it's been a weird week for the Huskies. You know, it started with the injury to quarterback Stephen Morris.
Yeah.
You know, he's a kid that we've talked about often on this show. Dual threat quarterback, bruised shoulder, throwing shoulder. He's questionable for Friday. And then they had the cancellation of the JV game during homecoming week. Riverbank had to fold its JV program. So it's been a weird week, but it should be a bounce back game for the Huskies.
Number 9, Big Valley Christian.
Big Valley Christian climbs. They have Stone Ridge Christian. This is always one of those great matchups.
Always.
Last year they faced each other in week 10 of the season.
PVC was 9-0.
Yep, and they basically played for the CCAA title. Stone Ridge Christian won that one 24-14. I don't think many folks inside that Lions locker room have forgotten about that loss.
Absolutely not. Number 8, Sonora.
Talk about a team on the move. Sonora falls outside the top 10, and they jump 2 spots in this week's poll without even playing a game. This is basically how we feel about the Wildcats. They're getting healthy. We thought that they would be one of the top small school teams, and now it's time for them to show it. You know, Evan Bearden is healthy, and it looks like that offense is finally clicking.
Number 7, Denair has a tricky matchup this week with Gustine.
Yeah, you're really going to find out just what kind of team they have. I mean, that was a tough loss last week to Ripon Christian. Can they bounce back? This will be a good test for Anthony Armis's boys.
Speaking of Ripon Christian, we are here at Ripon Christian, the Knights Lair on the campus of Ripon Christian High School.
Beautiful
because
stadium.
number 6, Orastimba, travels to Ripon this Friday night to take on RC. Number 6, Orastimba.
3-time defending Southern League champions, 23-game winning streak. You know, this is the game that we've been looking forward to. This one may ultimately decide who has that inside track to the Southern League title.
Number 5, Ripon Christian, Orastimba. Let's
Save it.
Let's save that because we're going to come back to that in our prediction segment.
Sounds good.
Okay. Number 4, Escalon. They've got a big game. The Cougars have a big game at Modesto Christian. That Trans Valley League round robin matchup we're always talking about.
You know, last week we were talking about Hillmar coming off a loss to Ripon. They couldn't afford to take another loss, or it would basically mean the end of their TVL title hopes. Well, here we are this week. Escalon coming off that loss to Hillmar.
Now Escalon in that seat.
They're in the same predicament. Escalon's got to go on the road to MC, which has probably been the most balanced of all the TVL teams. They've got 18, 19 guys, and each week, 18, 19 guys find a way to contribute to the final score. They've won 6 straight. They're rocking and rolling right
And that
now.
defense is
Dynamite.
tenacious. Number 7, Hillmar, for their bounce back effort against Escalon last week, a dramatic 2017 victory. Miguel Padilla kicks a 33 field goal to win the game in overtime. They get a bye this week. They're number 3. Number 2, Modesto Christian, hosting Escalon. We already talked about that. And number 1, Ripon, still atop our small school rankings. They've got Livingston.
They really should face no resistance from Livingston. It could end up being a game a lot like last week's against Riverbank, where Chris Mussman can empty the bench, make sure guys remain healthy for that stretch run.
Right. Okay, let's move over to the large school rankings now. No change in our top 10 because there were so many buys, but we do have a few top 10 matchups. And let's start at number 10. Grigori, number 10, taking on number 8, Modesto High School, in an old MMC matchup. It's now the CCAL. Number 9, Manteca, your alma mater, taking on old-time rival Oakdale. And Oakdale is number 6 in our large school ranking. So this is a 9 versus 6 matchup.
This is one of those old school, roll your sleeves up, let's just duke it out at the line of scrimmage type games.
This is slobber knocker football is what
interesting
it is.
to me is that, Oakdale didn't have any success at Gus Schmidt Field in 2016, the year they won the state championship. Manteca, in fact, was the last team to beat the Mustangs before their run to a state title, first ever state title. Gus Schmidt is a tough place to play. A lot of pride there for the Manteca side, but it's going to be interesting to see how the Buffaloes perform on Friday without their star wide receiver George Sedon.
Who do you like in this one, Buffalo boy? Because you've got Oakdale number 6, you've got Manteca number 9. If your rankings mean anything, He's got to pick Oakdale.
Like Manteca in this one. I do like Manteca. So the rankings, Oakdale just hasn't done any. Listen, Oakdale's played so well since that loss at the Honor Bowl that they haven't given anybody any room to catapult. Because you've got teams behind them like Buhat Colony, Manteca.
Right.
You got Modesto High, Gregory. Teams have lined up to make that jump in the rankings, but the Oakdale's just done their part and they haven't given away any ground. I think going to Gus Schmidt. I like Manteca. I like the home field advantage. I love Jacob DeJesus and Ryan Ward. I just think that Manteca has a little bit more experience in this.
Here's that other top 10 matchup we were talking about. Number 5 Turlock taking on number 4 Downey in an old Central California Conference revival.
Yeah, there are a lot of people excited about this matchup. A lot of people with gray in their beard excited about this matchup. This to me is a clash of styles. It's a clash of championship pedigrees. And we will talk about this in our prediction show, but there are question marks on both sides that could sway you one way or the other. Downey obviously has the issues at quarterback right now. Who's going to start? Is it going to be Bo Green? Is it going to be Bryce Gowker? Is it going to be
Ethan DeFentorum? Is it going to be Bryce Peterson? Yeah,
we don't know, and it's really kind of setting up for
and neither does Turlock.
New stars, it's some new stars to step up for Downey. And then Turlock is 0-3 on the road, but 2-0 at home. Can they reproduce that magic that they've had at Joe Debley? This is going to be a fun one, and it could, like we talked about in the Southern League, give the winner the inside track to the C-Cal.
Number 3 is Pittman. They're at Enox this week. Merced, my alma mater, has the bye, and number 1, no surprise. They've been number 1 all season long, Central Catholic. They've got East Union of Manteca. So that's a wrap for this week's large and small school rankings, brought to you by Valley Orthopaedic, the bone and joint specialists. For James Shades Burns, I'm Joe Cortez of FrontRowPreps.com. We will see you next week.